Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, let's talk horological game plan. Now, we do this for fun, and so the idea of sitting down and taking pen and paper and sort of mapping out your watch journey doesn't make sense. Doesn't sound very fun, but I think what a lot of people do is they develop an interest in watches, and so they sort of set their sights on one watch, and then they set their sights on another watch, and they get that watch and set their sights on another watch and then concentrate on that one. And it's sort of pinging from one watch aimlessly to a non-specified goal. And I think bad decisions can occur when that happens. And so I think it's a good idea to sit down and conceptualize your ideal collection and specifically what pieces absolutely must be in your collection. All right. Now, one of the reasons you want to do this is because it's easy to be led astray. You go watch shopping and you're faced with what you think is a good deal, or you see a watch that really you've never thought seriously about before, and there it is, and it might be a pre-owned model, and you might not come across it again. And in the heat of the moment, you can potentially make a bad decision. And that happened to me. I was saving up for the Explorer 2. I had the Sub. I had one Rolex, the Submariner 14060. And I was about halfway saved up to the Explorer 2. And I came across a beautiful 34 millimeter Air King. It was all steel, had a salmon dial, and it was $2,000. And I had the money. I was ready to go. I could have taken it home that night, and it was a beautiful watch. And it was different than the Explorer 2, and it was quite different than the Submariner. It kind of had that. It looked like a dress watch, and I thought, wow, this could sort of check off that dress watch box. And the temptation was great, and it would have felt great taking home my second Rolex that night. Well, in the end, I decided against it, and I'm glad. In retrospect, that would have been a mistake, because I still would have wanted the Explorer 2, but it would have taken me back to zero in terms of funds. And right now, if you look at my collection, it would probably be the weakest Rolex of the bunch. I don't think I would wear it that much, and it would probably be my least favorite watch. Now, the good thing about Rolex is there are very few Rolex mistakes, and could I flip it today and get $2,000 for it? Probably. So I could easily probably have gotten out of it. But if you're talking other brands, then this advice is particularly useful, because not many brands hold their value as much as Rolex does. And when it comes to Rolex, you got to be careful of those kind of bejeweled watches, bejeweled Rolexes, and the two-tones and the precious metal. But when you're talking a 40 millimeter steel sports watch, or just a steel Rolex, you're going to be a lot safer. All right. So that wouldn't have been the worst mistake. But around that same time, I remember seeing a white dialed Omega Speedmaster, and I think it was an automatic, and it seemed like a good price, and I didn't have a chronograph, and it was another brand. And I thought, wow, that could be a second watch. And I was really tempted there as well. And now that would have been a mistake. That really would have been a mistake. Another mistake was almost made when I saw an Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon. And it was a limited edition version. Now, I thought, wow, limited edition. I mean, this could be special, right? Laugh along with me. That would have been a huge mistake. So I'm really glad I walked away. It was a great price, at least I thought at the time, and I thought, wow, this is like cheaper than the non-limited edition. Well, that's because limited editions are like, toxic when it comes to the Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon. So, having that plan helped me to sort of keep my focus on my goals. And my goals were the Explorer 2 and a Datejust. Now, eventually I decided that I like the GMTs so much that I had to get a GMT as well. So I'm a big proponent of sort of just deciding what you want and deciding what pieces do you have to have in your collection. Here's the second part of this video. In which order should you attain them? Well, we often sort of work our way up. I think that's the mistake. I think you should go for the hard-hitting, most important piece first and then work your way down. Number one reason is because you can change your opinion, all right? I always thought that a steel Datejust was on the menu, and I realize now that would have been a mistake. If I had gone for that steel Datejust, even though it would have been easier after I got in the sub, I would have it and I would like it, but it just wasn't, it didn't pack the punch, and it wasn't a piece that had turned me on as much as, say, the Explorer 2 or the GMT Master 2. And now that I have those watches, it sort of helps me sort of reassess whether I actually do want steel Datejust. Now, I love the steel Datejusts. I think they're beautiful. They're just so normal and usable, and a steel Datejust is not really too pretentious. It's classic, and it's a great watch, but I don't know if it has a place in my collection, and so I've sort of hit the pause button on there. Now, when you go for the hard-hitting piece first, it also sort of just checks that box off. It gets it out of the way. And I think that's important because, you don't know what the future holds financially. And so, your days of collecting might hit a lull depending on finances. And so if you get that piece that you want, that's like your number one sort of goal, then if things do go south, you have that, and that's great. And that's why I think you should conceptualize your collections, your future collection, your ideal collection. Identify what is the piece that you have to have. What's essentially your attainable grail? And you just start with that. And then you should work your way down, because you might realize that as you work your way down, those lower pieces maybe don't turn you on as much as you thought they would now that you have that grail of yours. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you have any collecting or watch purchasing philosophies or advice? Let us know in the comments section. Take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time.